Hello everyone, and welcome back to Age of Noob. Today, we'll cover one of the most well-known ecotechs in the game, Fresh Foodstuffs for the Abbasid Dynasty. As you may know, this technology was recently nerfed in the Season 4 update, so let's explore whether or not it's still worth it to research, and if so, when should you pick it up? Well, let's dive right in. First, let's cover the basics. Fresh Foodstuffs used to be a technology in the House of Wisdom under the economic wing, and it used to reduce the cost to produce villagers by a whopping 50%. However, in the most recent Season 4 update that just went live, the devs moved this technology from the House of Wisdom to the Town Center and nerfed its discount effect from 50% down to 35%. That said, there are two additional considerations here apart from the obvious nerf to the discount rate. First, moving the technology to the Town Center means that there is now an additional trade-off to your TC uptime. Thankfully, both researching fresh foodstuffs and creating a villager take 20 seconds, so the trade-off calculation from a research time perspective is simple. And second, if you choose to research fresh foodstuffs, then you'll be behind one villager perpetually, which means that this otherwise additional villager would have continuously gathered resources for the rest of the game for you. Okay, let's go back to the original question. If fresh foodstuffs now saves only 17.5 food per villager instead of the old 25 food, costs 175 resources, delays your villager production by one villager, and perpetually denies the resource gathering of said villager, then is fresh foodstuffs still worth it? And if so, when should you pick it up? Well, the calculation used to be rather simple. Previously, at 25 food saved per villager, it took 7 villagers to pay back the investment. With 20 seconds for each villager on 1 TC, you paid back your investment in under 3 minutes. That's it. It was that simple. For a feudal age technology, under 3 minutes of payback time was insane value and a no-brainer to pick up as soon as possible, which is pretty much what everyone already did. Hence, if I made this analysis last patch, then we would have ended the video right here. With the new nerfs, however, the payback calculation is very different. First, let's get the obvious nerf out of the way. The discount nerf increases our payback villager count from 7 villagers to 11. This means that the discount nerf alone increases our payback time an entire minute, which means a little under 4 minutes in total. Had this been the only change to the technology, then it would have still been a no-brainer to pick up as soon as possible. As mentioned before though, that's not the case, and the payback time isn't really 4 minutes at all. To reiterate, this is because regardless of what build order you go for or how many TCs you have, you will always be one villager behind, which means you have a perpetual opportunity cost of resource gathering per minute left on the table when you research the technology. Here's what that means. Let's first set some assumptions. Let's be conservative and assume that you only have wheelbarrow research and no other ecotech at all. This means that we can realistically expect each villager to gather between 35 to 40 resources per minute, depending on how efficient they are. We also know that we can create 3 villagers every minute, which means we save roughly 53 food per minute if we constantly produce villagers. You probably can already see the issue here. Okay, let's simulate the next 20 minutes after fresh foodstuffs is researched. When we subtract the cumulative food saved each minute from the cumulative resources one villager can gather per minute, then we get the effective net resources saved, which is the true value we receive from fresh foodstuffs. I've calculated both sets of numbers for 35 resources per minute as well as 40 resources per minute to account for different villager efficiencies. But these are too many numbers on a table, so let's plot them to make it easier to read. Here's the line of net resources saved if the extra villager could have gathered 35 resources per minute. And here's the same line but with 40 resources per minute. As you can see, just paying back the 175 resource cost of fresh foodstuffs alone takes anywhere between a whopping 10 to 14 minutes. This is around 5 times worse than what it used to be in the previous patch, which is a massive nerf. Most people at first glance may have thought, oh, 50 to 35% isn't that bad, which they'd be right, but neglect the opportunity cost of the one extra, seemingly measly villager. In other words, the big nerf to fresh foodstuffs was actually moving it to the town center, as that one early villager provides a lot of value. Now, all of these calculations were on one town center. This means that if you have 2 or 3 town centers, then you'll cut down the payback time to half or even a third of what you just saw. What the developers effectively did here is change the way fresh foodstuffs is used. What used to be a no-brainer, pick it up in all scenarios technology changed to a more calculated one. Hence, here's your rule of thumb from Age of Noob. If you're not specifically going for at least the second town center, then picking up fresh foodstuffs is a mistake in Season 4. Do research fresh foodstuffs if and only if you have at least 2 town centers, and ideally 3 or more which you can constantly produce villagers from. If you are staying at 1 TC for whatever reason, then don't pick it up. Finally, one thing that I want to also point out is that the Abbasids did get the fertile Crescent technology in what used to be where fresh foodstuffs resided. Hence, these set of changes involving both techs are arguably a net buff to the Abbasid economy as a whole, but fresh foodstuffs particularly is now a more deliberate technology that will serve a specific purpose as opposed to being researched in every game. Overall, I think this is a very well-balanced nerf to the technology, and I was pleasantly surprised at the results. Good job to the devs on this one. Well, that's all you need to know about Fresh Foodstuffs for the Abbasid Dynasty in Age of Empires 4. There are still a ton of technologies and changes to be covered from Season 4, so be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Thank you for your support. And as always, thanks for watching everyone. I hope you and yours stay happy and healthy, and see you all in the next one.